Hey there, welcome to the garage. My name is Buck. I have Squib across from me.
Hello.
And today we're talking about the importance of finances, Squib.
Something that I struggle with a lot.
We're going to take a break from a bunch of the fun stuff and talk about things that are going to make some people uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is not a fun topic for a lot of people.
That's going to be money, it's going to be finances, and it's going to be affording your situation when it comes to the firearms and the stuff that you buy.
Yeah, because you need to be smart about it. You really do.
And some people aren't, and they try to justify it.
Myself included. I definitely fall onto that side of it.
At least you'll take the responsibility.
Yeah.
So-
but I keep making the same mistakes. So,
And hey, that's okay, as long as you recognize.
Mhm.
Before we get into that, Squib, let's do our traditional, what's kind of happened since last week,
Mhm.
since we've recorded. What's been going on, man?
Well, speaking of making poor financial decisions,
Oh, gosh.
Squib bought 2 more pistols.
What did you buy?
That Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 in flat dark earth, the 4.25-inch barrel with 17-round capacity. Pretty snazzy gun. Haven't shot it yet. It's pretty solid. I like it. And then a friend of mine from the gun shop sent me a Reddit deal for one of their threads that's like gun deals.
Mhm.
And he had a PO9, a CZ PO9 9mm hammer fired. I think it's 17-round mag on that.
19.
19 round.
I think so.
I think you're
If
right.
that's the one I have,
I think you're right.
because I have one of those. I have a
Yeah.
PO9.
And
Is it
I liked his.
desert tan,
No, mine's black.
threaded barrel,
Mine's not. No.
night sights?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess
So
this is
similar, probably very similar to what you have.
probably very similar. Mine's
Yeah.
got the threaded barrel, 19 plus 1.
Yeah.
Raised suppressor sights too.
Yours, I believe, is the PO9 Duty. Is what that?
No, I think yours is the Duty. I think mine's just the PO9.
Okay. Well,
Because I've had a holster for the Duty and it doesn't fit mine
Oh,
because of
okay.
the raised suppressor sights.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, he brought his in the shop, and it was, of course, tricked out and beautiful, and I really liked it. And then the next day, he's like, "Hey, I was on Reddit, and a company is selling them for $300 flat out the door." So I ordered one.
That seems so sketchy, dude.
It's from what was it called? Like Family Guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. But I looked them up. They're pretty reputable.
Did you have to pay in crypto?
No, I did not. But I mean, if anybody wants to sell me guns, I will buy them crypto. So basically, I got it for like $325 shipped. So
Wow.
yeah, not too bad. I probably didn't need it, but I wanted it, and I already had a holster for a PO9.
It's like a $600 pistol, dude.
Yeah, they're not. So I think I looked up MSRP through
Yeah.
my distributors.
Mhm.
MSRP is about $450 to $500.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was way more expensive than that.
Well, this one doesn't have the threaded barrel.
Sure.
Doesn't have the raised suppressor sights. But I couldn't order them through my dealers at this price, and they were selling them for that. So
Right.
I thought, well, why not? So what's another pistol in the safe?
So it was better than wholesale price, essentially,
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
It was better than my dealer price from any of my
Wow.
dealers by about, I don't want to give specifics on air, but we'll say around $75.
Yeah.
Cheaper than what I could buy them as a distributor.
Ballpark.
Yeah. So it was too good of a deal to pass up.
I
So
feel like you're in a really big pistol buying mood right now.
I am
I feel
probably.
like the past month and a half, you've
Yeah.
bought a lot of pistols.
Well, and a lot of the time it comes from them being cheaper and easier to fill a safe with. I mean, sitting next to us, we have one of my ARs that I absolutely love. But now that I have this about $1,300 completed AR, I don't really feel the need to go buy another AR right now. If I buy another long rifle, it'll probably be an AK because I love AKs. Or I might
Come on.
look at a 308. We'll see. But
Build yourself an LR 308.
that would be pretty good. That'd be pretty
And
solid.
you probably got a buddy who might host a podcast that might know a thing or two about building an LR
I
308.
think you're probably right. But on that same principle there, I'm looking at maybe like a 6.5 Creedmoor. I've considered a 300 Win Mag. It's easier for me to blow $300 to $500 on a pistol
Mhm.
than it is to maybe save up $1,000 and go buy a rifle, which is great for this episode. This is going to be
Sure.
maybe eye opening for Squib on this side. So what about you, Buck? What have you done this last week?
Well, I haven't done anything. I'm trying to save money since it's that time of year.
It is, yeah.
Waiting for the tax return to come on through, and then I will kind of give it away for you and some of our listeners. I am looking at purchasing a Ruger American Ranch and 300 Blackout.
Mm-hmm.
Takes AR-15 magazines, and I'm planning on making that. And this is kind of a hint for the next episode for you folks, kind of listening in. I'm gonna kind of make that my survival rifle and maybe a duo
Nice.
rifle,
Okay.
and that'll be the one I put a suppressor on.
That'll be great. And is that going to be your first can?
That will be. Well,
Oh.
and technically, so I mean, my when my father got his first can,
Hmm.
I was put on the trust
Okay.
for it.
But
So
this will be the first one that you research and purchase on your own.
correct.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so it'll be exciting, but I'll be saving up to just get the gun first of all,
Hmm.
and then let's, figure out the sight package I'm going to put on it and then go from there.
Heck yeah.
So the
Okay.
suppressor a little down the road. But aside from that, in terms of what's happened in the past week, I can't say there's been too much. I got a sound bar for my TV system, but
Oh,
that's
cool.
not firearms related.
Yeah.
So,
I need a sound bar.
yeah, we have like an 85-inch TV,
Hmm.
so the thing's freaking massive.
Yep.
But we didn't have a sound bar, and so it was like this massive lion, and he barks like a chihuahua.
Yep.
That's kind of like what it sounds like.
Yeah. Sound really makes the show. That's for sure.
Yeah. So since I had kind of a puny intro there, Squib, not much happened.
That's
So
okay.
sometimes that's okay.
Well, that just shows who the fiscally responsible one here is and
Well,
who
not
panic
only
buys whenever they see something shiny.
and not only that, but like there's a reason I mentioned what my plans are to buy that Ruger American is because granted, I have to save to buy a gun like that.
Hmm.
A couple $100, and I'm moving into a new apartment, so
Yep.
moving's always expensive.
Always.
So I also have to save up for that at the same time. And so being
Yep.
financially responsible, I have to make sure my stuff's taken care of before I even
Absolutely.
think about um, purchasing firearms.
Hmm.
And I will say before we get into this episode, real quick, Squib, if you do want to buy an LR 308 or build one, I know Murdoch's has a $99 Noreen firearms stripped lower for LR
Ooh.
308.
Ooh.
That, if nothing else, would be nice to put in a vacuum seal bag and like put away for a
Yeah.
rainy day.
I should probably buy that instead of the Caltech PMR 17. I was kind of eyeballing today.
And Norim, that's what I built my LR 308 on, is a Norim firearms lower,
Hmm.
and absolutely fantastic.
Okay. I mean, I've never heard anything bad from Noreen, frankly.
No, because they also make 50s.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is insane. But
Yeah.
so yeah, getting into the episode though, financials. We're gonna kind of split this down the middle, Squib, because I think there's a lot of different places we could go, and I don't think we can cover it all in an hour.
Hmm.
We're kind of going to talk about gear first. So this is like plate carriers, plates, helmets, carriers,
Duty
chest
belts.
rigs, duty belts. Yep, all that kinds of stuff. You know, anything under the massive umbrella that is gear pertaining to firearms related activities.
Right.
Um, and then we'll kind of end the episode by talking about the actual firearm side of things because I
Hmm.
think we should definitely tack on some conversation there. It really shocked me though, because so we're talking about gear. I can't believe there are two sides to this argument. And the two sides essentially are um, there's going to be a time and a place for you to purchase certain pieces of your equipment. And you can start low and kind of upgrade your way into the equipment you want and need and take the
Hmm.
time and the money. Um, or you can buy it all right now, have it all right now because it's going to hit the fan right now.
Hmm.
I just cursed for the first time on the
Yep.
podcast.
We're gonna have to have that
I will
edited
bleep
out.
it out. Whatever.
We've been doing so good.
Thanks, Mr. Editor.
It took 12 episodes
Yeah, it took
for
12
Buck to let
episodes.
one
Yeah,
fly.
that's a miracle. So it there's two different mentalities that we're going to talk about here, and it's I want it now, and I'm going to get it now because you never know when it's going to happen,
Hmm.
and I understand where I want to be, and I understand that I'm not there yet, and so I'm not going to take one massive step. I'm going to work up to it. Okay, and there's one I think is common sense, and then there's the other,
Right.
especially when it comes down to the money.
Yeah. I'm definitely more on the panic buying side where, I've been into this community for a long time, and it's very easy to just see something cool in a video and be like, oh, I want that piece of gear. I'm going to order it right now.
And in late 2023, this was actually a really big topic between gun tubers like T-Rex Arms and Grand Thumb.
Hmm.
They released videos solely on this subject as it pertains to being able to afford your stuff and not taking out a second mortgage to buy gear.
Right.
And so in my mind, you have to have a solid financial foundation before even thinking about expanding armories, gear, anything like that. Um, Training is also something I'm going to slap in there. If you're impatient with training, um, you're going to end up paying for a lot. If you don't do your research on your instructor, you could get burned pretty bad.
Mhm. It's very easy to go and take 2 weeks off of work and then go and take, a 10-day land nav class or, a live fire simulation class or a
Mm,
defensive class of some kind. But then on the flip side of that, you're missing out on the income you'd be getting from work.
yep.
And you might not be getting all that you really could out of that time or that money you're spending on class. Go to instructor A versus instructor B.
Yeah.
Who's going to have better credentials, better background to really teach you what you need to know. So the research in that really plays in.
Yes. Um, as it goes into gear, I would say that the more common sense part is to buy what you can afford. Buy the cheap stuff. I say cheap, not in the sense that it's badly made, but the
Hmm.
cheap stuff that is decently made, but maybe it doesn't hold as many mag pouches as you'd like.
Hmm.
My combat belt right now has 2 Velcro pistol mag pouches on the belt. That's
Hmm.
the only method I have of storing pistol magazines, and I hate Velcro as a
Hmm.
system of magazine retention.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I'm definitely pro Kydex.
But when I'm practicing reloads in the living room, does it work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
It holds the magazines enough for me to be standing still in my living room, or even if I'm out on the range and I'm moving, maybe I'm strafing side to side, it'll do. It'll be
Hmm.
fine.
Yeah.
It's enough to practice with.
Yeah. Our gear is very different. I usually buy maybe not the best, but I definitely fall into the allure of Gucci gear, where I like the nice name brand. I love Cry stuff.
Mhm.
I love Faro Concepts. They're kind of at the lower end of Gucci gear, but I went a little more expensive for mine. My duty belt right now is a Safeline Defense, which is not the most expensive. I think retail right now they're like 150.
Mhm. I'm gonna put you to shame, man.
I think I spent $70 on it because I got it from a buddy who was shooting 3-gun with me,
Yeah.
and he gained a bunch of weight and he couldn't
He
fit it.
couldn't fit the belt.
Yeah, so he had to
Oh.
get rid of the belt. So I think I gave him like $70 for it, and it was very lightly used. So I got lucky there.
So there's a company out there called Tacticon Armament.
Hmm.
I don't like Tacticon Armament anymore
Hmm.
because their mag pouches are absolute garbage quality nylon. But I still have one of their battle belts that I use to practice essentially.
Hmm.
And I think I paid $35 for that.
Oh goodness, one of my pistol magazine carriers, I run Taco mag pouches.
Mhm.
Those are $60 a pop
Yeah.
for just a mag pouch.
Granted, I think I got it half off
Hmm.
because I think to try and get people to get their products, they do quite a bit of half off
Hmm.
sales.
Yeah,
Even then, though, it's probably a $60 or $70 belt, and I'm like,
which probably
that.
isn't terrible.
I mean,
You
I don't
know,
know
it's one of those things where you can always start out with something and upgrade in the future.
exactly. Well, and like I said, I don't need to go out and buy a 150 $250 belt to practice, dry fire reloading
Hmm.
in my living room.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah, mine came from more of an opportunity to get the nicer gear
Sure.
at a discounted price. And
I mean,
when I was shooting more 3-gun, I like to have a little bit better quality stuff. I
yeah.
didn't want my gear to fail on me. I think on my belt right now, belt included, my battle belt or duty belt, whatever nomenclature you want to use for it, I'm probably sitting on $350 on a
Yeah.
belt. Between the custom Kydex holsters and all of my magazine pouches that I had, some of them I had custom made with cool Kydex because we do that at the shop.
Hmm.
I'm probably sitting at 350 on just my battle belt.
Yeah. And so my battle belt, I have my double pistol mag pouch. I have a dump pouch, a tourniquet, and mm, I think that's it.
I think my med pouch for mine, I think I spent $90 on my med
Right.
pouch. I forget who even makes it at the moment.
And my holster for my pistol.
Hmm.
So excuse me there. So if you exclude the holster, I probably have 120, 150 between dump pouch, tourniquet, pistol mag pouches, and the belt.
Not terrible.
The holster alone, though, that one was a gift from my dad. It
Hmm.
holds my CZP09,
Hmm.
and um, that thing's massive and it's expensive.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at doubling your cost in the belt.
Hmm.
So $150
Yeah.
just for the holster.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
As far as plate carriers go, I am a big fan. If you're on a budget,
Yeah.
Condor is not as bad as it used to be. I'm gonna say that my first plate carrier was a Condor. I bought it off a buddy of mine with some steel plates. I think I gave him $300,
Yeah.
and it was in great shape. And the plates, I think they were level 3 steel plates, which I ended up ditching a long time ago. If you're have a little bit more money, Voodoo Tactical, you can get a solid plate carrier for like $90.
I've had one of those before.
They work. They're
Not
not
bad.
bad. Now my
They
plate
might look a
carrier I
little
run.
ugly.
I see, and I don't think they look that bad. They
Ah,
look pretty standard. They look like the Eagle Industry ones that were issued during GWAT.
yeah.
Um, I run a little bit more of an expensive plate carrier now. I run a Faro Concept Slickster.
Hmm.
My carrier I think was like $200, maybe a little less. Wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
But then when I bought a Faro Concept Slickster, I wanted all the Faro Concepts attachments for it
Hmm.
because I like Gucci gear who is all matchy matchy. So my dump pouch was $40. My dangler was another 50.
Dude, I'm gonna feel so hillbilly redneck compared to your stuff.
I mean, I got some Gucci gear. Not now. I'm not running like a Cry JPC3 or anything
Sure.
anymore. I like what I like.
So my plate carrier right now is I don't even know the brand, Squib. It's a law enforcement hand-me-down. I bought it
Okay, so
secondhand from law
being
enforcement.
government contract, it's probably pretty decently made.
Oh, it is. It's a little big for me, and
Hmm.
like the side panels are a little too big, so I
Hmm.
need to do something. The cummerbund, that's what it is.
Hmm.
That's a little too big for me, so I need to make some adjustments. But like
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
cummerbund,
There's no B. It's cummerbund.
cummerbund.
It is.
Wow,
You're gonna smile every time
learn
you say it,
something
aren't you?
new every
It's
day.
cummerbund. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It holds my magazines, and that's all I'll say.
Hmm.
I wanted a plate carrier for plates, and then I saw the price for plates, and I don't think they fit what I want my outlook to be.
Hmm.
And so I kind of got steered away from that.
Yep.
Granted, I still have the vest and I'd use it. And I think I have some soft armor for it, some
Okay.
cheaper soft armor.
Gotcha. So you have multiple sets of armor.
No,
No. Okay.
no. So that's the only armor I have. But I then got into the world of chest rigs
Hmm.
and kind of looked into there. And if you're looking to save money, I think that's a great place to go.
Yeah, chest rigs are kind of underrated. They were really
Yeah.
hot in the gun community about a year or two ago, and it
Hmm.
was this thing where you ran like 3 AR mags or a couple of long Glock mags, and you put on your night vision, you took a picture in the In-N-Out Burger drive-through. That
Yeah.
was kind of a trend for a while, and I admit I kind of liked it for a bit, and then it got old.
If only we had an in and out here.
Yeah, I there may or may not be a picture of me at the Scotty's drive-through with that.
That's funny.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
But no, so I mean, if you're impatient on training, which some people are, a great thing to do would be instead of going with a full ballistic vest with plates and all your pouches, get a chest rig.
Yeah, it
At the
is
very least,
a really great middle ground.
yeah, and at the very least, you'll be able to work reloads.
Yeah.
You'll be able to run drills. And granted, I know there's a degree of learning when you go to a vest because of how much more real estate there is.
Hmm.
But that's why you train.
Yeah. Now, one thing I've updated my system up to. Now I actually my chest rig goes over my plate carrier
Hmm.
so that all my mechanics are the same. I'm running an Onward Research, their Mountaineer mountain chest rig, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
from that Grand Thumb designed. Shout out to Grand Thumb. I am extremely happy with it,
Yeah.
and it was designed to be worn either solo on its own, high on the chest, or it goes over a minimalistic plate carrier, which is what a Faro Concept Slickster is. So for me, if I want to just be out at the range gooning around, I just throw on my chest rig. But if I want to go out and take a class or something, they require armor, or if I'm just training in my armor, I just slap my carrier on, and then my chest rig goes right over it.
So, question on your carrier then:
Hmm.
how much does that affect your shouldering of the rifle?
Very, very little.
Because that's the first thing I ran into with a full-on vest is
Hmm.
that shouldering of the rifle is a little bit more challenging to find the pocket of where I need to be.
I didn't find it terrible.
Yeah.
The Concept Slickster, the Faro Concepts one, they run pretty thin shoulder straps that I will tell you right now, if you're going to buy one,
Hmm.
you are going to want to spend the extra $30 and get the shoulder pads that
The
you attach
covers.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're really going to want them.
Yeah. Okay.
I wore mine at the range for about 2 hours. I was hurting. My
Yeah.
clavicle was not feeling great with the weight of level 4 ceramic plates at the time.
Definitely.
So I ended up investing in those. It was a game changer. It was fantastic. I'd say that they're thin enough on that one where I didn't find it difficult to find the pocket.
Yeah.
Now I can see how if you're running like an Eagle Industries or your typical what people think of with all the molly webbing and the big chest rig, it's a little bit more difficult.
Sure.
You have a wider chest pattern and a wider shoulder strap. It's a little tougher to find.
Yeah. So I mean, we're spitting out a lot of companies, and that's awesome. And we kind of talked about the spectrum of okay, starting small with cheaper companies or more value-driven companies,
Hmm.
I should say, the best bang for your buck.
Hmm.
And this is where you'll kind of take the cake squib because I haven't gotten into our companies that make the more Gucci gear, the more expensive stuff.
Hmm.
I am like no experience with that because
Hmm.
I know in my mind I would never pay that
Right.
for what that product offers.
Some of it is definitely paying for the name.
Yeah,
It's if you're trying to just be cool on Instagram and stuff, if you don't have the cool guy gear,
yeah.
people will call you out on it, which I find hilarious.
Well, and part of it makes me wonder is what the mentality of those people are, whether it is to look cool or whether it's genuinely to get ready
Hmm.
for whatever happens.
Hmm.
And I would challenge them and ask them what are they getting ready for. And granted, there are some valid. I will validate some answers to that question, but I will also question what's the timeline for that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And do you have to max out your credit card to buy $1,200 worth of plates, which is easily doable,
Oh yeah,
and then $600 to $1,200 in plate carrier and pouches, which
right.
is also very easily doable.
It really is. Yeah, if you want to go buy a set of Esco plates and a set of backups for them, and then you want to buy like
Oh,
a Cry JPC and do all the Cry gear with it or whatever you want to do, I think right now, like if I had won the lottery, I could go dump probably 3 grand into armor and chest and a carrier pretty easily. I
hmm
mean, it's not hard to do. It's kind of like we talked about optics on our previous episode.
sure.
If you want to pay $1 million for something, boy, there's a company out there that'll do it.
Yeah.
There's options.
No, you can pay whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's just you that has to have the sense of what do I need
Hmm.
and what will I pay for that.
Right.
So, I mean, you do no justice to yourself by buying the gear and putting yourself in debt. Because, I mean, ideally, if you're spending more money than you make on gear in the sense of getting ready for something and it doesn't happen, because no one has a crystal ball squib,
That's very true.
absolutely no one.
Yeah, I've checked Amazon. It's not on there.
It's not. And the 8 ball will not answer the question.
Okay, I do have a Magic 8 Ball at home.
Okay,
I do ask it
that's
questions
okay.
sometimes.
But you still have to pay rent, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Low key, if people are looking for some really cool Gucci gear, if you go onto those Facebook tactical groups, I've seen so many people sell really cool and nice gear at, maybe like 60 to 70% what it originally cost because they'll even say, I got to pay the rent this month.
mhm.
Or my car's transmission went out. I have to fix this.
And it blows my mind because in my head I'm like, you shouldn't have that in the first place.
Yeah. And
You shouldn't.
the older I get and a little bit more of a, fiscal responsibility I try to take on and to manage in my mind, the more I wish I had a time machine to go back and be like, why did you go buy this squib?
Those kinds of people should be running an M1 Garand bandolier from World War II that you can buy from like any gun auction or gun show for $40
Yeah.
off a table.
On that topic, an SKS chest rig, the one that holds all the 7.62 by 39 stripper clips,
Yeah.
those will hold AR mags.
Really?
Yes, they
Oh,
will. Yep.
okay.
If somebody wants to save some money, go buy a $30 one off Amazon, the repros, or
Yeah.
go to a gun show and spend 30, $40 getting an original. And you know what? Use that as a chest rig for a little while. You know what it's going to do? It's going to work.
And it's going to make you really appreciate when you get a real chest rig.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to make you appreciate the fine things in life,
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
And that's kind of the philosophy we have here. I want users and enthusiasts to be debt free.
Hmm.
And that's just me personally. I'm a big Dave Ramsey guy,
Hmm.
which is just a debt free philosophy. And when it comes to gear, you have a lot more freedom to purchase what you want if you're not spending money in payments to someone else.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, don't put it on a credit card. You can put it on a credit card if you could pay it off at the end of the month in full
Right.
or
Yeah.
no interest.
Yeah.
Because I have a 12-month no interest credit card I've put
Hmm.
stuff on before.
Yep. I've done that before. I had made the bad decision to invest in like some really nice furniture, and I
Yeah.
did pay them off before we hit interest. But boy, I'll tell you what, that year comes up fast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you haven't been paying on it or making minimum payments, even that year shows up like nothing. I
Oh,
mean,
and
right out
they
of the
know.
blue.
and they know that's how
Mhm.
they get you.
Yep.
Like, oh, 12 months.
They're gonna get you.
It'll be so long. And then there.
Looking at you, American Furniture Warehouse.
So another thing that I'd like to bring up is night vision or thermal.
Yeah,
Thermal's getting massive.
it is. I just had a guy in the shop yesterday. He
Yeah.
built me a couple of coyote calls. I had some extra antlers,
Mhm.
and I gave him like 2 antlers, and he brought me 2 coyote calls for free, and because I let him keep the extra material. And I asked him like, "Hey, what are you using? Are you using a white light?" He's like, "Well, I used to use a red light 10 years ago. Now I use thermal."
Yeah.
And this is a rancher in in the Panhandle, Nebraska. This is not something that's just in the movies anymore. It's becoming very prominent.
Do you want to get rid of one of those coyote calls?
No, because they were made specially for me, but I can definitely give
Ah.
you his contact info. I think he charges like $30.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
open read or
opposed to that.
closed read. So I will get you his contact info.
Please do. Yeah, I'd be interested in my Missouri coyote hunting.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thermal is becoming a huge thing when they can't see you, and that's actually this 300 blackout I've been talking about. When I put a can on the end of it
Hmm.
and start shooting subsonics, I'd really like to take a trip down to Texas and go hog hunting
I'm supposed
with
to go this next year.
thermal.
That would be the way to go.
Oh man,
Yeah, this ranch we're actually looking at going and renting a cabin out for. They offer night hunts where they give you night vision
yeah.
and or thermal, and it's like 150, $200 a night per
Ha-
person.
have you checked the more up to date prices on night vision? By the way.
I've been paying attention to the PVS 14 market because that's the night vision I'm going to be going with here in about 8 months.
I've been paying attention to the I call them the piano tubes, where it's the four
Yeah,
that
quad
come down
nods.
quad nods. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been paying attention to those. Boy, you want to
Yeah.
talk about a mortgage?
Literally, yeah, they are
Yeah,
incredibly expensive. They are awesome.
yeah,
I would love to
but
someday.
like what, 40,
Yeah,
$50,000?
we're looking at about 50 grand.
Yeah, and so I mean,
Yeah.
come on, guys, you
Yeah.
don't need them that bad.
Yeah. I was talking to my brother about buying a set of PVS 14s because he's had night vision in the past. That he's let me borrow, and I really enjoyed it. Like every typical man, the first thing I did with night vision, I went into the bathroom and I used the toilet with the lights off because it's the closest dark room I could get to.
Your brother is such a character,
He is a character. He's got some contacts over in Eastern Europe that just send him cool stuff that falls off the truck.
dude.
Yeah, he's a good brother to have.
And isn't he like my age? Like
Yeah, my brother is
20s?
21, 22 years old.
He's younger than me.
Yeah,
Dude, what?
my brother's been in the surplus market since he was about 12. And I'm going to take some credit for that because I think seeing Big Brother, because I'm about 8 years older than he is.
That kind of scares me.
Yeah, he's been in this a while.
That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Yeah,
Talking to Russians and Ukrainians
yeah,
and Czechs
yeah.
and Lithuanians over there.
Oh yeah, my
Oh my
brother. He's
God.
not fluent in Russian, but he speaks enough Russian to make business transactions.
Wow.
Yeah,
We're going to redact some information here.
yeah. Well, we haven't said his name, so
No, we're good. Yeah. So yeah, people don't put night vision on your freaking credit card. Please
no.
don't. Don't take out a personal loan to buy night vision.
No, I think night vision is definitely we fall in the realm of Gucci gear, in my opinion. Is it something I think every American shooter should have? Sure, if you can afford it financially responsibly.
Yes.
If you can go and whip out the cash and not have to worry about making your car payment next month. PBS 14s are not a cheap investment because you're not just buying night vision.
No.
You have to buy a system to hold the night vision because you're not just going to shoot one-handed and hold it up to your eye.
The mount and the helmet.
Yeah. I mean, I think my brother right now has a bump helmet and the mount. The mount alone, I think, was $400.
Yes.
Yeah.
That shocked me.
Yeah.
Is just how much it costs just to mount the night vision.
Yeah. I think if you wanted to do it right, I'm going to spitball a number here. For a decent night vision setup with a bump helmet with a mount, I'm going to call it $4,000. And that's low
Wow.
end.
Now, is that bump helmet ballistically rated?
Nope.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's a big consideration for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with a bump helmet, but if it's not going to be ballistically rated, what am I paying for that?
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
essentially paying for a fancy looking bicycle helmet at that point.
Right at that point.
Yeah. Which is,
Whatever.
it kind of comes into the mindset of what can you afford? In my mind, if you're going to spend the money on night vision, you should probably be spending the money on the nice ballistic rated helmet as well.
You think so?
I think so. Now, am I going to buy a new bump helmet that's ballistically rated? No.
But granted, so let's get into the mentality here. If you're already spending 10 grand, hopefully cash people, not
Mhm.
financed. If you're spending 10 grand on nods, you might be able to splurge 4 grand for a mount and a helmet,
Yeah, absolutely. If you're
or
if
at,
you're looking at those numbers,
or at
sure.
least put it in your shopping cart and be like, okay, I have 10 grand. Let me save up 5 grand more
Hmm.
and just kill all this at once.
Yeah. My thing on ballistic rated helmets is compared to a bump helmet, their profile on your cranium is about the same.
Hmm.
If you're not talking about like some Russian full face ballistic rated helmet. I guess if I'm going to take a piece of lead to the noggin, I'm probably guessing they're going to hit in a point where that helmet isn't going to help me a whole lot.
No.
So I would almost save the money for my first one at least, if I could give anybody advice, and not buy the ballistic helmet. I would still buy from an American made company. There's a couple of them out there now. I forget a couple of names off the top of my head, but they offer some helmets around the $500 mark that are very solid. They are not ballistically rated, but I think that they would do you just fine for mounting night vision on.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one that people need to do their research, do their homework on. That is not a watched one YouTube video when ordered this night vision
Well,
kind of
if you're
scenario.
spending that much coin, I would hope so.
I would
Like
sure hope so.
you're not going to Google night vision goggles and then click the first link and they'll be like, oh, 10 grand, cool.
Yeah,
Here you go.
yeah,
Like, hopefully that's not the mentality of some people,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I guess if you can do it, cool. If
I
you just have
mean,
that money to blow,
if it
whatever.
doesn't matter to you that
Yeah,
much, if 10 grand is pocket
yeah.
change,
That's probably the
and
same
I
person
have
that
some,
goes to a casino and loses 30 grand. They're like, whatever. Had a bad weekend.
yeah, that's
I can't imagine.
no, me either. That makes me want to throw up. Some other examples of some other equipment that people sometimes jump to conclusions for and overpay, I would say. Uh, we've talked about plates,
Hmm.
carriers. I'm going to skip this one bullet. I will say training courses. We've talked about that. Ammo and reloading components.
Yeah, I definitely do not always buy my ammunition at the best prices.
Uh huh.
I mean, I probably haven't bought a good deal on 223 or 556 in a couple of years. Actually, that's a lie. I got a really good deal about a year and a half ago when I started working at the gun shop. I bought it was 800 rounds of 223. I paid $80.
Dude,
Yeah.
what?
Guy came in, traded in his rifle, brought in an ammo can with it, sold the rifle, and he's like, "Well, I really don't need this ammo anymore, but you have a really cool Kershaw knife in the case." So I went and I bought the Kershaw knife and I traded him straight up.
Oh my God, Squib.
I got it for a steal.
You're telling me.
Yeah, that was the best ammo deal I'd ever come across in my life.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I've never had an ammo deal quite like that since.
And see, I thought I was doing good because I bought a box of 2,000 224 55 grain soft point bullets off of Mid South Shooter Supply.
Mhm.
I had 1,000 cases of 223 556. I probably still have 2 or 3,000 cases. And then I bought 3 or 4 pounds of H335 powder. And then I bought 1,000 primers.
Mhm.
And I was in it at 30 cents a round. Um, and I loaded my first 1,000 for just like rainy day ammo.
Mhm.
And I thought I was over the moon when I got my first 1,000 done.
That's solid though. That's a solid deal.
Yeah, because at least I know I've touched every single one of those rounds. I have weighed the powder for each one of those rounds, and I've seeded the bullet.
Mhm.
Like that's my ammo.
Mhm.
So with 30 cent per round ammo, I know that stuff is more accurate because I also did the load testing to make sure that load was accurate than what you would get off the shelf from a factory.
You're right. I definitely agree with you.
But especially when COVID hit, if you could find primers, a lot of scalpers out there.
Oh yeah,
You know,
myself
you,
included.
oh my god, you don't
I
want to admit that,
I will admit it. I definitely took advantage of the situation. I
dude.
bought low, sold high. Absolutely.
Learn new stuff about you every day.
I Squib the horse trader will make his money where he needs to.
The only thing I did was sold my ARs
Mm, okay.
because AR-15 prices went through the roof.
Yeah. All of a sudden, those DPMS rifles that were 500 were going for a grand.
I overpaid for mine at 550.
Mm-hmm.
DPMS Oracle, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
ugly gun, and overpaid at 550. I sold it for 700.
Yeah. Good
And
deal.
and the dude was clicking his heels out the door.
He probably thought he got a steal on it from you.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're back down to 450.
Yeah. Yeah, I am glad that the AR market has kind of fizzled out to the point where it is easier for people to get into now.
Yeah. So the second to last thing we have is rifle builds or upgrades.
I'm really glad you put this on the list
Yes.
because I get people in the gun shop constantly asking me, well, should I just buy one or should I build one?
Hmm.
And my response is always at this point, and people can disagree with me, I think you buy the decent rifle and you upgrade it. I no longer agree that building is as cheap or going to save you as much as it would have 5 to 10 years ago. I say that
Explain.
I say that because I built a really nice Aero Precision lower with Sons of Liberty Gunworks internals with their primary gunfighter trigger when it had just come on the market, and they gave it to me for $8. They had a deal where it was you buy our lower parts kit, we have this new trigger for an extra dollar. We'll send you this trigger. We hope you like it.
You were the guinea pig. That's
I
what
was a
you
guinea
were.
pig, and I was a very happy guinea pig at that. So Arrow lower, um, Arrow M4 E1 upper 16-inch with a 15-inch free float rail, Magpul stock and a Magpul grip. I got that rifle done for, I think I was in it 6.5, maybe 700. And then I threw a 6-hour Romeo 5 red dot, which was like 120 bucks at the time. Okay, red dot, not
Hmm.
bad. Wouldn't buy it again. Today that same build, I don't think you could do it for less than $900.
Interesting. Well, probably because that trigger.
That triggers part
One,
of it. Sons of Liberty prices have gone up. They've become more of a, I wouldn't say Gucci brand, but they are on
more
the
popular
nicer end of the
for
spectrum,
sure.
more popular for
Yeah.
sure. But now anymore, it's tough to compete with the prices when I can sell somebody a Diamondback AR with a decent looking free float rail.
Hmm.
Just running that standard adjustable A2 stock and the A2 grip. I can sell one of those out the door for like 600 bucks.
Yeah.
And that's with the steel lower or the aluminum lower. Now I can also get the composite. The
Ugh,
I don't hate them.
I do.
Do I own one? No. Would I tell somebody to buy one if they are already an experienced shooter? Probably not.
I wouldn't.
I could save somebody about 75 bucks more by going with that. So for the money,
And they'll have a cracked lower in 500 rounds.
I've seen some good testing on them. They've had them up to like 3, 4, 5,000 round testing, and they're still holding up okay. Now that being said, I don't think most people shoot their rifle ever that much,
No.
which they should. You should be shooting your rifle a lot. But I mean, compared to where things were to build 5, 10 years ago, 10 years ago you could build an AR so cheap with
Yeah.
good parts. You could have a really nice Gucci'd out rifle for 700 bucks.
Yes.
Now, if you
Yeah.
want to build a Gucci rifle, we'll put it, you could spend as much as you want to. It is not uncommon for me to meet friends up at the range, or if we're going to go take a class or something,
Yeah.
and they're running $3,000 or $4,000 Noveskis.
So I'll throw my hat into the ring and say that I think I like the idea of people building their lower and purchasing their upper.
I like the idea of them building their lower so they understand the mechanics behind it and they gain the knowledge.
Yeah, but like, so just to play devil's advocate, Squib, if you
Mhm.
buy, let's say, an M&P Sport 2,
Had one. Yep.
yeah,
Talk to me.
what's the first two things that you're replacing on that gun?
I'm going to replace the stock,
Yep,
and if I had the money, I'm going to replace the trigger.
there you go. And where are those two parts located, Squib?
They're on the
They're on
lower.
the lower.
Yeah.
So my problem is if I buy a stock rifle and I replace the stock and the trigger, I now have two parts that I will never use because they're ugly, dysfunctional. I don't like them. I don't like a 7 pound pull on the trigger.
Hmm.
I'll never use them. So do I trash them? Do I keep them?
Right.
I have these parts I don't know what to do with.
Right.
Um, and I feel like I am purchasing two different stocks, two different triggers.
I get that. Maybe we can meet in the middle here because I don't remember if I sent you a picture of this Colt M4
Yeah.
carbine when it came in. I bought this as a no furniture rifle.
Can I tell you, it really, and this is probably because of the case, but it really bothers me that that buttstock is not out.
Let me fix that for you.
Thank you.
There
I
you
really
go.
appreciate that.
It's because it fits in the case better
Yeah,
that way.
I figured.
So I bought this Colt M4 carbine from one of my distributors because I wanted to build a nicer rifle, not quite a Gucci rifle,
Yeah.
but I wanted to spend the money for a pony. And this came with the buffer tube with no stock. This came with a barrel and gas system with no forend, and it didn't come with a grip or a trigger guard. That saved me, I believe, $350 versus buying the one with the regular A2 stock,
Mhm.
A2 grip, and the nasty, I hate it, little plastic forend that's like a 12-inch or whatever that you use on like the A2 gas systems. Now mine's a flat top. It is so I can run a free float rail. Um, the Magpul stock I put on, I think I bought it for 45, $50, something like that.
It's a good price.
Wasn't too bad. The forend or my free float rail, I spent a little bit more money. I spent I think 130 on it. It's a Wilson Combat.
Those are getting more expensive by the day.
They are, and it's one of those things you can pay as much as you want to.
Yep.
And then the A2 grip that's on it, I had that in a box from probably taking it off another rifle I bought and upgrading. And then I threw on a Magpul enhanced trigger guard because I like the little bit of the extra room, if I'm wearing gloves or something.
Yeah.
So
So
it's one of those things where I think you can still build, quote unquote build,
yeah.
if you're gonna go with a rifle with no furniture. That way you're not buying those parts twice essentially.
So my thought is I can buy an Anderson lower for $50,
hmm
which get over it. I know
And I hate to say it, but the price on those Andersons are going up a little
they
bit.
are. They are.
I have them in the shop right now at 70.
Really? Do you
Because
have them in the shop?
yes, I do.
What? How many?
5.
I might have to visit you tomorrow.
That's fine. I'll be at work.
Okay.
Um,
I'll see you then.
yeah.
But
We also got in arrows if you want an arrow.
eh,
And they're in FDE or in black.
okay.
But yeah, you know,
So I bought Anderson lowers for $50. I'll buy a Rise Armament 3.5 pound trigger, which I love their product.
those are a solid trigger to
And
go
they're
with.
always, at least they're on sale a lot at Midway USA.
Yes.
And I'll buy them for $100.
Shout out to Midway, always having cool
Shout
deals
out
and
to Midway.
stuff.
That's like the favorited browser in Chrome right now. It's
Is it?
just Midway USA.
You pull up Chrome and it just automatically goes to Midway.
Oh my god! It's just you
Might as
type in
well.
M in the bar and you hit enter and you're at Midway. Um, so I think I paid 150 to do the whole buffer. No, that's not true. Probably 100 to do the whole buffer stock. Granted, I did start with an A2 stock and I
Mhm.
switched over to the FAB I have now.
Yeah. And I will say I don't hate A2 stocks.
I do.
I don't hate how they feel. I hate how rattly they are.
You have a beard, sir.
Yeah.
And so the A2 stocks, I don't know if people can visualize this, but there's a little hole on the top of the A2 stocks. And if you have a beard hair, that will go in there and it will snag. And so when you lift your cheek up off the rifle, it'll snag your beard hair and yank it
Have
out.
had that happen like once or
Oh my
twice,
gosh.
but I
I
also
hate it.
haven't ever had A2 stocks on a rifle very long.
Yeah. And so that's a good point.
Yep.
So all of that to say is I have $300 in the lower.
That's pretty
So-
good.
Yeah. And that's a $40, probably a Stoner AR parts kit and like a $5 pistol grip from a gun show or
Mhm.
whatever.
Great place to buy extra parts or gun shows.
Yes.
And
Yep.
garage sales. If you hit the right garage sale,
I haven't
man.
had the luck yet.
I've had luck where I bought a small cardboard box full of just random AR furniture and parts,
hmm
and I gave the guy $10 because he just didn't want to bring it back to his gun room.
So, and I do kind of want to pivot off of this weird rabbit hole we've gone down and kind of get into the gun section of
Yeah.
finances. And I do feel like there's a little separation in kind of what our outlook is on this
Yeah.
squib. I feel like, and this is of course no offense to you, but you buy what feels good.
I do. Yeah, I buy the pretty shiny.
This looks good. I don't need to think about it. I do have money in my account, so it's going home with me.
Yep.
Whereas I kind of have a reverse effect where I'm like, what do I want to accomplish at the range, or like, what do I want to get into?
Yeah, you're a much bigger researcher, I think, too. I
Yeah.
might be going and looking at, 10 or 15 YouTube reviews of a firearm before I buy it, or
Mhm.
we're looking at some forums and stuff. But that's a couple of days of research. You
Yeah.
are looking at making those decisions over the span of either weeks or months, or sometimes even years.
I've been talking about that Ruger American for 6 months.
Yeah, it
Easily.
might even be longer than 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just because I had to figure out, okay, if I were to buy this, what would I replace? Is the stock going to be worth a darn? Can I get it for a price lower than MSRP?
Mm-hmm.
Can I find it available on the used rack or the new rack?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yes, there's a lot of research that I do. But it all goes into, do I want to reload for this cartridge? Do I want to shoot this cartridge? Do I want to become a better shooter using this platform?
Right.
And at the same time, if it answers all those questions, my last one probably is, will it add to the gun safe if, let's say, in 50 to 100 years, my kids or grandkids open it up and they say, wow,
Hmm.
is it going to add to a legacy or an investment collection?
Yeah, I've working in the gun industry now in a shop where I see people bring in grandpa's collection when he passes away. I can tell really quickly if I would have liked grandpa or if grandpa was a fud who needed to not buy any guns anymore.
Yeah.
If I have somebody bring in a bunch of cool old revolvers and maybe some milsurps or just some nice stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, guy had a cool collection. I wonder what you kept versus what you're selling
Right.
versus, oh, here's three Ruger SR9Cs, or oh, something he bought for $200 off a buddy, or oh, here's this gun show special that's now $100 each.
Hmm.
It's pretty easy to tell if somebody had a cool collection or if it was garbage.
Yeah. But I do want to caveat, what I just said with the fact that I do think you and I both view firearms as investments.
Yeah, definitely an investment. I mean, no
Yeah.
matter what, it is something that whether a good or bad investment, it is an investment.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we have a couple of beautiful ARs sitting on our table right now. I know each of us could probably go and walk into somebody that knew something and walk out with $1,000 in cash easy.
Huh. Mine only because I have like a $600 optic on it.
But
Because
again,
that is a
that's an
Bear Creek
investment.
Arsenal upper.
Yeah, but it's still an investment. Your rifle versus my rifle right now. We're looking at being able to go into somebody that knows what they're looking at and say, okay, I will give you X amount in cash, and we're not probably taking much of a loss if we even
Sure.
are taking a loss.
Right. And so I will say maybe the difference in our outlooks, and I kind of have this in notes. I thought about it a lot before we started recording. Is maybe there's a difference in how long we see these investments turning over.
Right.
Maybe it's you turning in and using that rifle as equity towards your next gun purchase.
Hmm.
$500 handgun. Hey, will you knock off $400 of the selling price of this firearm, and I'll give you the pistol, and I'll
Right.
buy that for $400 less.
Yeah. Like that Uberti I bought.
Yeah.
I originally bought that in with the full intention of making it a flip gun.
Hmm.
I fully intended to buy that at the number I did.
Yeah.
Realized the value, and I'm like, okay, I can make a $300 profit on this pretty easy.
I purchased at auction a Winchester XPR
Hmm.
in 300 Winchester short mag. It's a Model 70 variant. And the Model 70, as I'm sure you know, working behind the gun counter, has some insane fans,
It does.
some
It's
collectors.
funny you mentioned that because I was actually looking them up today because I was, just window shopping,
Yeah.
daydreaming, pipe dreaming, and I cannot order one for like less
Really?
than $1,000.
Huh. Interesting.
I mean, they are expensive new.
Yeah, this XPR is a cheaper version of the Model 70. I bought it for probably $400. It was probably worth $450.
Hmm.
And I really liked the cartridge, 300 Winchester short mag. And I ended up trading it to DEFCOMP actually
Hmm.
for an Steyr 1895 straight pull rifle.
Okay. Heck yeah.
And I would have that not only did it fit my collection more because I collect military surplus,
Hmm.
but when I looked at the outlook, I was like, okay, which one is more likely going to go up in value, in the next 10 to 20 years? I said, Winchester model XPR or Model 70 XPR, it's the cheap version, you know, or a military surplus 1895 rifle.
Right.
And in the past 10 years, military surplus has doubled and tripled and just expounded any expectation of
Yeah.
increase in the market.
If we had a time machine, go back and buy a couple of crates of
Everything.
Mosins. Yeah.
Yeah, just all of my life savings in Mosins
Yeah,
and come
I
back and
think
sell them.
I saw a really good thing about firearms the other day where it's a military surplus when it first comes into this country and available on the market. It is the most sound investment you can have as long
Yeah,
as you hold on to it.
right.
That gun is never going to be worth less than what you're paying for at retail. It's only going to go up.
And so I think initially on that trade, I think I lost a little bit of money
Hmm.
in giving up the XPR, but I would have rather done that and walked away with an 1895. By the way, gorgeous gun, absolutely beautiful, all matching serial numbers. I would have rather walked away with that knowing I'll make my money up in the next 10, 20 years.
Right.
And so, that's kind of my outlook when it comes to the guns.
Yeah.
And
On the other hand, I'm looking at if I can buy it at the right price today and I can flip it in a week, I'm going to go flip it in a week.
yeah, but let's say you have, and this is just for theoretical, Squib. If you have $500 in excess every 2 months, let's say, so
Mhm.
$250 a month that you can get in excess that you want to put towards a gun, you can buy a gun within 2 months. 2 months,
Yeah.
$500. Let's
Yep.
say that. In another 2 months, you can put that towards equity towards another purchase plus another $500, and
Mhm.
maybe you get a $900 to $1,000 gun.
Mhm.
You wait another 2 months, you trade that in for another firearm, and am I doing this math right?
You're the math guy here.
Yes. Okay. Another 2 months, and you're at $1,500 if you trade that rifle in. And granted, this is all theoretical.
Mm.
Comment some comments. I'd be interested to hear what our listeners had to say about it. But like in the course of 6 months, you're at $1,500 in a firearm, and you have completely gone over any expectation of a rifle that you can think of. You know, it's more than likely going to be accurate. It's more than likely going to be quality. And it should be something that you can enjoy, love, and have the experience to enjoy what the price tag buys you.
Yeah.
Um, so, I think that person that does that and saves up and trades in and kind of does the horse trader squib way
Mhm.
and trades his way up, I think they will enjoy that rifle and be able to use it better than the person that just goes out and buys a $1,500 rifle.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
One thing I think that people need to be aware of though is just because something is worth $1,000 to you, it might not be worth 1,000 to the next guy, or it might be worth more. It just kind of depends on your situation. Do you have that local gun shop that you know you can go in and put it on the table and be written a check or given cash for?
And I'll add to that and say that if you're looking for performance, just know there are diminishing returns with price.
Absolutely.
I think that's 1,000%.
Yeah. I would caution people thinking that they can go right now and spend $1,500 on. I'm just going to throw out like a Springfield Armory Waypoint.
Oh,
Very nice bolt action rifle. Was
sure.
tough to get when they first came out.
Yep.
I don't foresee that turning into a $2,000 rifle in a year. It just doesn't. It's probably worth 1,200 all day, every day of the week.
An example I'll make is Christensen Arms, because their rifles are commonly priced above the 2 grand mark.
Hmm.
They've actually come under a lot of fire lately for their barrel quality has been absolute garbage, I've heard. And so they weren't matching the QC that the price of that rifle really demanded.
Right.
And granted, the great thing about capitalism is the buyers rooted the company out, said this isn't right, so we're not buying your rifles.
Hmm.
That's why they weren't going off the shelves.
Yeah.
So Christensen had to fix something,
Hmm.
or they weren't going to sell the rifles.
Yeah.
So that's something that has to happen. I will say, cheap rifles, I have thoroughly enjoyed learning on in the past 5 years.
There's something to be said for buying a cheap rifle, and I would say cheap is $500 or under.
Sure,
Um,
no optic.
yeah, no optic, because optics, we covered that in the previous episode. You can spend as much as you want. It is nice going out and taking a $500 rifle out, and when it works really well and it's accurate, you feel really good about that purchase.
And it goes back to training. If you buy so I'll use my Remington 700 for an example, with a Simmons $130 scope on it. I had $600 in that platform, maybe, and I was hitting 600-yard torsos.
Which is fantastic.
And so in training, does it do me better to save myself the money to buy things like ammo, range fees, and all the extra stuff that people don't think about? And I'm still tagging targets at 600 yards, than to skip the line, buy the $1,500 rifle, the $2,000 scope, not know how to use it properly or to the full extent that that product was designed to, and whoop I'm hitting torsos at 600 yards.
Hmm.
What sounds more exciting?
Yeah, I would definitely say the challenge of being a better shooter with a maybe not as good of a tool, we'll say. I think
As effective.
yeah, as effective.
Yeah,
I think you're definitely going to feel better about that less purchase. I would hope that if I spent 2 grand on a rifle, I'm hitting 600 yards. I would
absolutely.
hope.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, if I went and I bought, I don't know, like a cheap, I'm gonna say cheap with quotations, Remington 700 with a decent optic, and I'm banging it out at 600 yards, I'm gonna feel really good about that. Or
Yeah.
I buy a Savage 110 in whatever caliber, and I spend $400 on it, and all of a sudden it's hitting solid at 500. I'm gonna feel really good.
I bought my Savage 12 FV from Cabela's on sale for $300. I hand loaded for it, and I have maybe 30 to 50 cents a round in the hand loaded ammunition I have
Hmm.
for it. And I hit 1,050 this summer with it.
It's fantastic.
And you want to talk about the confidence that it gives you when you clink steel at 1,000 yards with a $300 gun? Are
Hmm.
you kidding me?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we've talked about the mentality of some of the people that go like, I need the best right now, and I will challenge you. I don't think you do.
Yeah, I
Not
don't think you
right
do.
now. Even if stuff does hit the fan, Squib, I would trust myself a lot more with that Savage 12 that I paid $300 for because I know that I've taken it out to 1,000 yards.
Hmm.
I would feel more confident with that than a $2,000, let's say a Bergara HMR Carbon Wilderness
Right.
B14.
I heard a really great thing. I think it was Grantham. I could be wrong. I saw it on Instagram, and it was what would you say someone should do with a $2,000 budget? And someone said, oh, I'm going to spend $2,000 on a rifle. I'm going to get the best rifle I can. Cool. You should probably spend 500 on a rifle, 500 on ammunition, and $1,000 on training
Yeah.
because you are going to get more out of that. You're going to gain more skills. You're going to be a better shooter and more confident in your abilities after spending that extra money on training and having that ammunition than just buying the shiny toy.
And if that $1,000 in training is daunting to you, that's okay. It's daunting to me because I've never trained with an actual instructor before.
Hmm.
Actually, that's a lie. My father's an instructor. I've trained with
Right.
him. But there's information online.
Hmm.
There's stuff you can do online.
Absolutely.
Granted, you should probably get to a place where your fundamentals are checked and made sure that they are proper and correct.
Hmm.
And that goes through a lot of range time and self discipline. But like, you're telling me you can't work reloads in the living room for days on end, months on end,
Right.
and get really good at that
Yeah.
fundamental part of shooting.
Hmm.
And it's crazy how much that will return to you in dividends if you, let's say, you go into competition, or if stuff hits the fan and suddenly those skills are marketable.
Hmm.
I think that's a really good point that a lot of people miss. Is yeah, it's fine and dandy to spend $1,000 on training, but also just know that you can save yourself a little bit of money and a little bit of time by making sure you're solid within yourself and what you do at home. And then, if you don't know very much, let's say for me at least, it would be DMR practice, designated marksman rifle. I can train reloads at my house all day long. If I don't know anything about DMR, I'd like to take a class to introduce
Hmm.
myself to it. And in that, I can learn new drills to do at home, new drills to do at the range by myself, because I am a solo trainer kind of person.
See, and I definitely learn better in a class with an instructor. That's
Yeah.
just my learning style. I guess maybe that comes from a little bit of a sports background and having coaches and whatnot.
Well,
If I'm doing something wrong, yell at me, put it in my brain, and I will make it right.
I think that's probably the more common outlook with people with firearms is
Hmm.
I do want an instructor because it's the mentality is your life is at stake.
Hmm.
So you want to make sure you have a great instructor that shows you great fundamentals and great drills and great ideals to have while you're training. I think that's awesome. I've been so dragged through so many team sports, Squib, and I played college baseball. I've been dragged through so many bad coaches. I'm my own coach at this point.
Yeah, I had flashbacks to high school football. I did not get along with him.
And for the people yelling at me in the comments, my fundamentals are down. I've checked my fundamentals with the
Hmm.
proper people, with the proper instructors. I'm not unteachable. I absorb that like a sponge. I take those fundamentals and I apply downrange. And that's specifically at the discipline that I long range shoot at steel torsos.
Right.
You know? So it's learning of okay, if I hold over this much after a missed shot, will I hit it? And maybe I miss it again. I'm like, okay, well if I stayed the same, would I have hit it? And so it's just the trial and error that I go through with positive fundamentals. And it's taken me absolute miles. So all that to say, Squib, if you're freaking out about the end of the world, don't.
Right. Don't
Because
don't go max out your credit cards and live in your car.
don't take out a second mortgage. Don't sell your house so that you can afford um, quad nods.
Mhm.
I've considered it. I've talked myself off the ledge. Don't do it.
The day you bring in quad nods into the garage here and set them on the table, I'm gonna look at you and be like, "Buck, what did you do?
Do you need a place to stay,
Yeah,
Buck?
are you gonna come couch surf for a while?
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. We'll just move our gun safes in the same room together. It'll be fine."
And if you do, if you are the person that buys quad nods or ballistic helmets with mounts or really expensive plates and plate carriers, chances are you could be the next guy on Facebook selling them
Hmm.
to pay rent, to
Absolutely.
pay your car,
Yep.
to pay for gas to get to work.
Hmm. Assuming your boss didn't fire you for looking up quad nod videos all day.
Yeah, that's man. I hope my boss isn't listening to this. Squib calling me out.
No, no, no. I'm just saying. I
Come
can
on,
imagine there's a
man.
lot of people that just fall into the black hole that is gun reviews and gear reviews, and that just consumes their life. I mean, that was definitely me for a while, where I didn't buy anything unless I watched 5, 10 videos on it, and I had to have the five biggest gun tubers give me the thumbs up on the purchase before I'd buy it.
And I hate that specifically because I understand that some gun tubers might not be shills, as people call them.
Hmm.
But I prefer to take customer or product reviews from myself who has used them.
Yeah.
And granted, I do open myself I open myself up to a lot more risk in doing that because I have to purchase that product, but I get a lot more from forums. And yes, I do surf forums. I don't reply
Hmm.
toxically in them.
No, I don't. I
Um,
don't even contribute to forums usually, but
don't
there a lot of the
toxic.
times, I would say 67% of the time, there is some decent knowledge to be soaked up
Sure.
from them.
And you do have to be smart about how you navigate Facebook too. I am
Hmm.
part of Facebook groups,
Yeah.
forums, all that stuff you have to be
Yeah.
smart about.
There's a really great group that my gunsmith sent me that is tell us you don't train without telling us you don't train.
Hmm.
That's a fun one to thumb through
I'd
sometimes.
probably have some great pictures to put on there
Oh, you probably do. Yep.
because I don't train.
No, but anymore it's really just people bashing the dumbness of,
Yeah, sure.
like somebody who is their concealed carry weapon is a I saw somebody carrying a Heritage Arms barkeep boot.
Oh no.
Yeah, I kid you not. And the guy was
What?
and they were like, what about reloads? He's like, well, I carry two of them. Yeah,
Oh,
so New York reload.
the guy didn't even know it, but he gave him his haters more
Oh,
ammunition.
so bad, so bad.
So all that to say, Squib, and we're gonna wrap this up because we're over an hour. Take care of your rent. Take care of your mortgage, please. Take care of your bills. You don't have a crystal ball. You're not special. You don't know.
No.
You don't know any better than I do. You don't know any better than Squib does.
The second you think you got it all figured out, you're wrong.
You're wrong. And Murphy's law, if there's a small chance that it's going to go bad,
It's probably gonna go
it's
bad.
going to go bad.
Yeah.
That small chance, it's going to happen, dude.
Hmm.
So take care of your stuff, your student loan debt, pay them off, get debt free, and then focus on your financial goals in your life. And if that includes expanding your armory and building an investment uh, oriented gun collection, like what I've tried to do over the years, that's great.
Don't take out a second mortgage to build a bunker in the backyard.
Don't do that.
It's probably gonna go up for auction if you're gonna do that.
But pick a gun here, pick a gun there, have the money to pay cash for it because one, that's just going to get you better deals. And two, that's just the smart and common sense way to do it, Squib.
Hmm.
Just pay in cash. It's gonna get you a better deal, anyways.
Yep.
Gosh. So, don't buy guns when you can't afford it. Don't buy gear when you won't use it. I
Right.
think that's a big point too. I've
Hmm.
had a plate carrier in a bin in the closet for 2 years, Squib. That I bought for $30 off of like Alibaba.
Hmm.
I'm not going to use it. And why did I buy it?
Right.
Right? I'm not going to use it. If you can't afford it, don't buy it either. Don't pay for training that you don't realistically think you would apply.
Hmm.
And so that's to say, we're in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. We're in a very country and rural oriented area of the country. I am not going to take urban survival because I have to cross one road and I'm in a cornfield.
Right.
And I'm in a cornfield for
Yeah.
miles.
If you live on an acreage, you probably don't need to spend 2 grand and 2 weekends on a CQB course. At least not right now.
Not right now. And maybe if you're really interested in that, or maybe you want to do 3 gun competition that might incorporate a CQB
Hmm.
in that case, or in my case, an urban side of things and competition side of things, go for it.
Hmm.
Do it down the road
Yeah.
when you can appreciate those lessons and you can afford them.
Yeah. I think the big thing comes from, don't be living, selling yourself out of house and home
Yeah.
just to go take a class or to go buy the shiny thing.
Yeah. So if you missed any of our messages throughout this podcast episode, just know that your spending money, it needs a purpose. And not all the time is that going to be firearms, gear, equipment, optics, nods, whatever.
Yeah. As nice as it would be to have like a 72 gun safe filled to the brim, I would almost rather have 20 really cool guns in there and 10 or 20 grand in cash sitting in that safe instead.
Or silver.
You got me there.
I got you, Squib.
You got me. Silver and gold, baby. That's where
Yeah,
it's at.
I can't disagree with that. But like my spending money, the purpose on my spending money is to keep a roof over my head, keep my car operating so I can get to work and make more money. Um, the budgetary things. If you're a firearms enthusiast, I think you should budget. And if you don't, I think you should really take a hard look at why you don't. Because the firearms industry is expensive.
Mhm.
And if you don't budget, I think you can easily see yourself, having a little tumble in the finances
Yeah.
if you're not careful.
Yeah. The gun enthusiast who doesn't budget isn't a better shooter. He's a fool.
Yes, he's a well-equipped fool,
But it's still a fool.
and then he won't be able to afford the training to properly use his
Right.
Gucci equipment.
Or to stack up thousands of rounds like I do, because that's just what you should do.
They'll post a lot of pictures on Instagram, and it'll
Mhm.
look really cool.
Yep.
Won't be able to apply it. So
No, not at all.
with that, we appreciate you tuning in to Buck's Garage Podcast. If you like the content we're pushing out here, you can leave a like, you can comment, you can subscribe, whatever you're feeling like. We're also on Spotify, and that link is going to be in the description. If you're on Spotify and listening on YouTube, hey, we're on YouTube.
Mhm.
If you type in on Instagram or YouTube at Buck's Garage Podcast, you'll find us.
Mhm.
And then the last thing is we do have a Patreon, $5 a month to support the content. That gives a direct link to the content that we push out, Squib, not only to us, but also the content. We let you vote on some episodes you might want to see, some shorts, and you get some content that you're not going to find on YouTube, you're not going to find on Spotify or Instagram, anywhere else.
Mhm.
So I think that's pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
if you want to check it out, go check out our Patreon link. It's in the description.
Yeah. One thing I would like to add to the very end here, if you made it this far in the episode, to our listeners, go down in the comments, and I would love for people to comment one thing that they blew money on as a gun enthusiast that they regret spending that much dough on.
Or that they shouldn't have.
Yeah. I would love for people to contribute in that
Man.
way.
Maybe we'll do that too. Comment as Buck's Garage Podcast and just say, hey, these are what we, and then just prompt it in the comments.
Oh, gonna be a long list from Squib.
Yeah. We'll just have one example from each, because I
Perfect.
do have them too. So, like I said, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you on the next Garage Podcast episode.
Later.